All right, Cody. How much chest paint is too much chest paint?
Is there a thing as too much chest paint?
No. Good point. We are fully chest painted.
Yeah.
For this episode of our first watch-along episode back.
It is. I'm excited.
I am too. This is Watch-Alongs, Pop Culture Pastor Watch-Alongs, and we are doing this season on season 3 of Shrinking. Cody, tell everyone what Shrinking is about.
Therapy.
Yes, in a manner of speaking.
So it's a lot more than that. But Shrinking is a great show that is about a group of therapists, but also how they and their friend group and family navigate this world and experience growth together, working through trauma, hardships, and just every curveball that life throws at you as you progress through this thing we call life. So
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the growth, because that's going to be a singular point at the end of each of these episodes we do, where we single out a moment in the episode where a character hit some growth, which is kind of a play on the title, Shrinking, but yet these characters are trying to grow in life.
Yes.
And is that where the term came from? I don't even know. You're a therapist.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know?
I really hadn't thought of it until like this exact moment.
It's weirdly related, but I don't know how. If you have not watched the first 2 seasons of Shrinking,
binge it.
This podcast, specifically the watch-alongs, may not be for you. You need to binge them and then come back, and you're going to binge through them fast. This is a fast binging show. Once you get into it, you just want to keep watching it. This show, done by Bill Lawrence of Ted Lasso, of Scrubs,
yes,
mini shows.
Cougar Town.
Yes, always we got to bring up Cougar Town. I wish we wouldn't, but here we are. But Bill Lawrence, known, and now especially for these shows that are really deep-feeling shows, but also very joyful, very funny and light, even though there's dark things that happen to some of these characters.
Heavy things.
Yeah. So we're just going to get into it. We're going to assume that you've been watching Shrinking along with the first 2 seasons with us, and it's time for Season 3, Episode 1 of Shrinking. We start with Dr. Paul and Dr. Julie. The song Keep Holding On by Simply Red playing in the background. We get witty banter in the bathroom. A lot of the times I'm just going to say there's witty banter.
Yes.
The dialogue is really, really good and witty for this show. It's like almost Gilmore Girls level.
That's what you get when you have the show creator being behind Cougar Town.
Have you ever seen an episode of Cougar Town?
No.
Interesting. So Paul, played, of course, by Harrison Ford, wonderfully, by the way. Maybe Harrison Ford's best work in a long, long time. In fact, I joked about putting it in the top 5 Harrison Ford characters in our Be Kind Rewind for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Honestly, best acting work in the past 2 decades.
Yeah, it's great stuff. His hands are shaking, as we see his hands shaking as he is attempting to put toothpaste on his toothbrush. This transitions to Dr. Paul in session. It's kind of a little montage here at the beginning. His hands shaking, distracting a client he's talking to in session.
Which I loved this part of the montage, because as a therapist, you have to be cognitively aware of what you are bringing to the session. Mm-hmm. You try not to bring too much so that the client feels comfortable, and also that it's really about them. But you're always going to bring something, and not being able to control that is a difficult dynamic to work out as a therapist who for 50 years has been able to control what he brings to the session, what he doesn't bring to the session, and not having that control.
Is it fair to say that Dr. Paul should have maybe thought of hanging it up by now? Is that fair to say? Because of the thing he can't control that he's bringing into the session.
Potentially, but also at the same time, our illnesses and disabilities should not hinder us from living the best life and still offering the guidance that he can offer. But I assume that he discloses to each of his clients, hey, I have this. I might do this. Just a heads up.
It's interesting. It's interesting stuff. I think you're right. I think it's very true that we need to allow for that, obviously. But it's interesting to think about. Paul apologizes for it being a distraction to the client, and he stutters when he says the word distraction. I don't know if you picked that up.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, this whole scene is meant to show us Dr. Paul's disease, how it's progressing, his Parkinson's, since the last time we saw him in season 2. Cody, are they taking Dr. Paul from us at the end of this season?
That's what I took from this episode.
Oh, man. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I don't know if it will be so long farewell forever, or if
he's just going to retire.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's hope for that.
Fingers crossed.
But this first episode has a heavy focus on Paul and his Parkinson's and how fast it's progressing. And we'll get to all that. We go to Dr. Paul in the waiting room for his neurologist, where we meet Gerry.
Love Gerry.
Played by Michael J. Fox. Of course, Harrison Ford, what are you in for? Or no, that was Michael J. Fox. What are you in for? He says, Parkinson's. Which I just love Harrison Ford's voice. He's like turning into Clint Eastwood right in front of our eyes. But he's like, you, haircut. Michael J. Fox has still got it, man.
Comedic timing.
Listen, I was struck by just how amazing he is, even in this little bit of time. He's acting through his own Parkinson's. He's still very funny. That line, just that line alone, the timing of it was great. He's still very charming. He's still very much him. And I suppose that's the point, but that just the whole scene made me smile.
I really loved it when Harrison gets called back, or Paul gets called back, and Michael J. Fox is like, but I was here first.
Yeah. How's your brain? Any hallucinations? No, thank God, says Harrison Ford. That conversation goes on a little too long, which kind of led me to believe it was foreshadowing. And I was not proven wrong. We'll get to that later on. Also, the main theme and catchphrase of the episode is brought up. Forget Parkinson's, with an asterisk, because they don't say forget.
They don't.
More exposition given through this whole scene, meant to kind of give us Dr. Paul's current state and introduce us to Gerry, played by Michael J. Fox.
I need more Gerry.
Yeah, or MJF, as we will now call him.
Yes, not to be confused with Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
No, this is the first and real MJF, Michael J. Fox. We switch to Jimmy and Dr. Paul sitting on a park bench. And Paul says he's going to get everything he can out of life, Cody. No more why me land. In one of the funnier lines of the episode, Jimmy says, I kind of like why me land. It's nice there. So we get more witty banter. And then Paul makes this request of Jimmy saying, if you see me sinking, pull me up. And I thought that was a very sweet thing happening there, actually. He's like saying, don't leave me, friend.
And also it's transparency that he may not have the tools to do this by himself. He says it to the right person, too.
Yeah. Can I say, though, because of a dude like Paul, played by Harrison Ford so well, we understand it's in the guise of accountability. But it was really about as deep and personal as we see him get with Jimmy. We know there's more underneath it than just the accountability. It is part of accountability.
Yes. And I love that Jimmy acknowledges that Paul got him through when he was sinking.
Yes.
Having friends, having wise counsel, having family, it's important in life. You can't do this thing alone because of all that life throws at you. So,
yeah. Paul then takes Jimmy on a sports Porsche ride on a racetrack,
which I was like, what?
Jimmy's probably right. That's not safe, especially the way he's driving. Like, look, if you still crash, you're still going to get hurt just because it's a race car. But, get busy living or get busy dying, which seems to be where Paul's at.
Exactly.
We go to Gabby and the other Derek. That's how I'm going to refer to him because there's no way I can show you the different spelling of his name.
D-Train or Derek.
We get, of course, the other Derek, of course, played by Damon Wayans Jr.
From New Girl fame.
That's right. Witty banter, because every scene has witty banter. These couples have more witty banter than I've had in 20 years of marriage, Cody. I blame myself.
That is on you.
I need a screenwriter for my witty banter. For all of our witty banter in life, we need a screenwriter. But other Derek starts talking about this story, about how he angered a crow as a child and how he has nightmares the crow's going to come back for revenge.
They never forget.
Then he says, I love you, but he doesn't say it like that.
You.
He says, I love you. Which Gabby notices. Like, hey, what was that about?
I noticed too.
Yeah.
Which this is where the show helps me to hone in on, like, am I doing this therapy thing right?
Yeah.
Because there's times that I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing so hot or not. And then, like, I watch this show and they're like, oh, I noticed the way you just changed your tone. And I'm like, I noticed too. Maybe I'm not bad.
Yeah. And they both laugh it off. It's not a serious moment, but they just both acknowledge that it's weird. And, you know, sometimes when you're first starting to say that with someone, there is some weirdness to it, but it's going to work into the growth of everybody growing in this episode later on. We get this like weird little montagey thing with a bunch of quick check-ins with the other characters, with witty banter, of course. We get Liz and Derek, the original,
D-Train.
the OG Derek on the show. Liz wants Derek to make sure racist Pam knows they hate her. And racist Pam says good morning, and Derek blows a raspberry while giving her a thumbs down, which is like maybe the funniest thing in the episode.
I loved that so much.
He does ask an important question, like, I don't know how I can make her feel that we hate her any more than I already have. I love that he's so willing to get on board with his grouchy wife. And he's such a happy character, but he's willing to, like, you know, to placate her, to be like, yeah.
I honestly feel he should be everyone's favorite just because of how understanding and how thoughtful and how funny he is. But there's so many good characters in this show.
Yeah. It's also hilarious that racist Pam gives us no indication that she's not just a sweet lady. Like, they just say she's racist Pam, and then that actress probably knew nothing. They're just like, just play a sweet lady because it'll be funnier that way. But we see Brian and Charlie, the fellas, they're building a crib for their adopted soon-to-come baby. And this is a hilarious scene as well, but it catches us up on where they're at as a couple. And then we get Brian, who, like, this actor who plays Brian, Michael Urie, I'm not sure how to say his name. He's wonderful. He's like one of my favorite characters in the show. But he says there's nothing more as in masculine.
Yes.
Than confidently doing something incorrectly, which is hilarious and true.
Without reading the directions.
I love their whole relationship as it's shown to us on the show. And how Brian is just woefully immature.
Yes.
And that everybody just kind of loves him through that, right?
Although he's a lawyer.
Yes. Yeah. Then we move to Sean and his dad wrapping up the day at the food truck. Witty banter again exposes Sean's relationship with Dr. Sykes at the neurology clinic. That's not where their relationship takes place. That's just where she works. We've already seen her this episode.
We have.
But they are having a what fancy folks would call a dalliance.
Uh-oh.
Or a dalliance. I'm not sure how to say that word either.
There's a lot of things we're not sure about.
I'm also not sure why I did the quote things with my fingers there, because it's a real thing.
Yes.
But Sean's dad finds out about it because his coworker makes a joke about a booty call. And he says, sometimes I miss when we weren't talking. But the whole point of that scene is to catch us up. We're getting caught up. Sean and his dad are good.
We still have a food truck.
We have a food truck, and Sean is in a physical relationship with a much older Dr. Sykes. We go to Jimmy and Alice. Alice informs her dad that the generically named Wesleyan soccer coach is coming to her next game to recruit her.
I thought she was going to go to Kansas Wesleyan, which is where I went. And I'm like, I think you can do better.
How many colleges have the name Wesleyan in it somewhere across the United States?
Because at least Oklahoma has one. I think Nebraska has one. We find out where it is later.
Yeah, this short little scene gives us Jimmy's nervousness about losing Alice. He's clearly not super pumped about this.
Empty nest.
And finally, we get Jimmy and Lewis, which I'm here for all the Jimmy and Lewis scenes. Lewis, of course, played by Brett Goldstein. If you don't remember, Lewis is the guy that was drunk driving and killed Jimmy's wife, who he's forgiven and now has a relationship with, which is why I just want all the scenes with them. They're sitting and talking. Jimmy is kind of talking through his feelings to Lewis. But he says this, he says, maybe happiness isn't this impossible thing that we just have to choose it. And he's trying to inspire Lewis to start living his life again. Because he says, why are you saying this to me? You don't have to try and inspire me every time we talk. But Jimmy does sense in Lewis what a lot of these characters are going through, which is they're having trouble moving on.
Which is ironic because Jimmy's having trouble moving on.
Yes, he is. He is. That's the whole theme of the episode, right? Lewis says, I'm finally feeling okay where I am. I don't want to risk messing that up, which is valid. Cody, this scene, though, sends me into a tailspin because I feel like they're even foreshadowing Lewis going through a bad time later, and I don't think I'm ready for that.
He might, or they might just run the end of their getting to know each other, especially if Lewis stays comfortable with where he's at, his lot in life. Although, if I had to bet money, I'm guessing Lewis has an interaction with his former fiance before we end this season.
Yeah, maybe. I just knew, so there's a little background to this. I knew there was a moment at the end of this episode where you had led me to believe that tears would be cried.
Yes.
And so when I saw this scene, I was like, don't you take Lewis from me. Don't you do it, show. And luckily they did not.
Spoilers.
It was something else deeply heartbreaking. Jimmy, Alice, and Liz are together. Alice is nervous about her game where the coach is coming to recruit her and talk to her. Jimmy tells her, if you're nervous, look at all of us up there supporting you, her crowd, her people. Then Jason Segel makes a funny noise with the hand motions. Oh, which is one of the funnier parts of the episode. And this little scene is meant to show us that Alice is kind of a mess.
She is. He talks about scoring a goal, and then that was too much pressure.
Yeah. But her supporting crowd, you're meant to see that, like a lot of the characters, she's a mess. But her supporting cast is very good for her. And it's something that they talk about later in the episode that they can be proud of. Even Jimmy, who wasn't always the best dad.
Yeah.
That this whole crowd came together because of that by the time he was ready to join back in. And they have this really awesome support unit for her. And I love that this ends with showing the viewer just that, where he says, we're really proud of you. And she says, I haven't played yet. And he's just looking her in the eye, doesn't even blink, says, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We support you because you're you, not because of what you can do. Sean and Dr. Sykes, we see them, post Happy Place.
Together.
Yes. But then they break up. As Dr. Sykes says, we should probably break up. And you're like, wait, whoa, huh? What?
I understood it.
Yeah. But it makes sense it makes sense to both of the characters too, because of their age difference. And Sean tells Dr. Paul that it's because she thinks it's keeping her from moving on, which is probably yes. And it's probably meant to be in this episode just so we see that that's a major theme of this show and this episode, because Paul tells Sean that it's also maybe time for him to move on. But Dr. Paul is like, you should find a real relationship, find a real place to live. And then he says something really funny.
Okay.
That's going to come up again and again in the episode. Have I told you about the field? The field? The field is an intelligent energy force, says Dr. Paul, that knows who you're supposed to be, Cody. And it's going to keep demonstrating to you what it is you need to work on most over and over again until you start to do it. It's funny how the field sounds a lot like God in this explanation.
I was thinking the Force. This show utilizes analogies well, which when you are doing therapy, you should be having some illustrations, analogies to spur on growth or conversation. And this one definitely had a deeper meaning. And there's nothing wrong with spirituality within the realm of psychology. It just kind of depends on the client, if that's a strength of theirs or not, or the individual that is receiving services.
You know what I love about this the most, though? Because there's a real life lesson here, because of course there is. We have this tendency to think that people that believe in a God, believe in that sort of thing, are religious people, can't really mix with atheist people. They can't really mix with universe people. You know, you got a lot of people out there be like, well, the universe wants us to be together, blah, 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 that sort of thing. And we think that we're incompatible when we're really not. It's just a matter of perspective. We actually see things in a lot of the same base ways. We just put different names to it. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that whole thing by Dr. Paul, that we see that like, oh, Dr. Paul's, he even calls it crunchy spiritual crap. Sean does. So I appreciated that. And it is just a little reminder that actually we see things a lot of the same way sometimes. We just haven't done a good job over the years, all of us church people, atheist people, of recognizing that. We go to Gabby and Dr. Paul. Gabby is getting bored and annoyed with her clients, a little foreshadowing that maybe she might leave the firm.
Oh, yeah. That is a potential.
Dr. Paul says she'd be great at a place with more trauma, which seems like that was just a scene meant to foreshadow. We go to Liz and Brian.
Oh, before.
Oh, what'd I miss?
So is that the scene where Jimmy is talking about one of his clients right as the client shows up?
Yes.
So
he says he's really, because she's getting bored.
Yes.
And so he says he's talking about a client being super boring as he's walking up behind him.
Even though you think he would not be boring because of all the tattoos and stuff.
He looks wildly interesting.
As a therapist, the character I want to be is Paul. The character I am is Jimmy. Like just awkwardness, because Jimmy's always questioning, am I doing this right? And so, yes, I'm Jimmy.
I think that's a rabbit hole we definitely need to explore further at some point this season.
Potentially.
Cody's relation to Jimmy as a therapist. We move on to Liz and Brian. So Liz is acting as, they call her the nanny. She's designing their baby room. And of course, there's witty banter broken up by Derek, Liz's husband, Derek, weirdly taking a call out back.
Yes.
And Brian jokes about Derek revenge cheating on her with the year rule.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Apparently, all the characters recognize it immediately, and it sends Liz into a little bit of a tailspin.
Yes, because she checks out.
Yeah. Now, it's important to remember, Liz mentally cheated on her husband. Is that correct? Am I remembering that right?
Mentally, and there may or may not have been a smooch.
A smooch, yes. So it's interesting the way it's being defined and moving on, but that can be just as hurtful. We move to the soccer game. All of this takes place in and around the soccer game for Alice. Paul and Dr. Julie talk about wills and the power of attorney and how all of this is very difficult to handle. Alice does well at the soccer game. Dr. Paul yells at a teenager in a way that would get you kicked out of most high school games. I'm thinking
maybe.
And then the big moment, she's has this big moment on the pitch, as they call it, where she's going to have a penalty shot, and her crowd's doing the weird noise that Jimmy did earlier, and she smiles a little bit, hits the shot, and the whole scene is meant to show how comfortable she is and happy she is with her support crowd, which for someone who's gone through what Alice has gone through, losing her mother, this is not a little thing. Happiness and comfort is not a little thing. Brian is describing how difficult it is to merge Dr. Paul and Dr. Julie's lives together legally after the game's over.
Yes.
This discussion starts up again when Jimmy rather thoughtlessly, but correctly suggests the obvious. Why don't you just get married?
Which, as an older person, especially with a serious health ailment, that is definitely something that, like, there's a lot of options and it is very difficult to navigate. The marriage one seemed like an obvious one, but also, like, do you want to tie down your significant other as you are going way down
As your
potentially?
caretaker,
Yeah.
So it's a difficult thing, and Jimmy, it just highlights the thoughtlessness of just blurting it out there as if it's not a very deep question that would have to be thought about.
Yes.
And angry Paul ensues, and we get a lot of comedy off of that because he says, "Did you just propose to my girlfriend?"
Yes.
in perfect Harrison Ford delivery, and that's hilarious. Liz and Derek. Liz finds out Derek isn't cheating. Their son's moving back home because he's struggling being a grown-up.
Oh, and he's just funny being there.
Yeah, he's like the comic relief for the rest of the episode, watching the nuptials happening in their yard later in his tidy whities.
Just raiding everyone's fridge.
Yeah, at one point there's a joke made about how, like, all the food has been eaten out of their house, which is why he's wandered into Jimmy's house. Yeah. To which he's starting to complain, and she's like, "I fed your daughter for a year after your wife died." And he's fair. Paul, Jimmy, and Gabby is the next scene we get. They're meeting in the work, and Paul says, as it turns out, marriage solves most all of our problems, the legal stuff. So we're just going to go down to the justice of the peace to do it. And Gabby obviously begs, has a lot of protests for this because she wants to plan the wedding. Weddings aren't for the people getting married, Cody. She's not wrong.
She's not.
Weddings aren't for you. The people getting married. They're for the other people. They always have been. She does say priests are super creepy, and I'm like, what is with the uncalled for clergy slander?
Maybe she likes pastors.
Maybe. Although I was kind of lumping myself in with the priests.
We probably should.
The coach comes to see Alice. They tell her to play the dead mom card, does Jimmy and Sean, which she has apparently been playing quite a bit, but has given up for at least 2 weeks.
Yes.
They're just trying to encourage her in her meeting with the coach. We then switch to the Brian and his husband with their baby mama, showing her the nursery. She isn't sure about the wallpaper. Liz crushes Brian's hand when she says that. It's hilarious.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, she thinks there should be more Winnie the Pooh. Definitely not Cain and Abel wallpaper.
No.
Which, who would do that to their kids?
Some people.
Oh, that's awful. This scene is meant to show us that the baby mama is obviously having some trouble separating herself from control of all things baby. She's out of turn a little bit, isn't she?
So, I mean, I noticed a little bit of that. I thought more of, like, she just really longs for the sense of family that the couple that's adopting their baby seem to have, and have not only with each other but with their close friends.
Yeah. It's rightly a red flag. Like, everyone who's witnessing it, like, oh, especially when the truth comes out that they have not had any talk about expectations yet, which their lawyer had told them you should have had. Or the agent, or I don't know who he is. The guy, is he a lawyer too, I think?
I think he's a lawyer.
Paul and Julie show up for the wedding planning, which is another pretty hilarious scene because Gabby leads with the J-Lo classic, the wedding planner. G-Lo.
Yes, G-Lo.
As OG Derek calls her. Gabby has greatly expanded the plans for the wedding. She's talked to Meg, Paul's daughter, and her husband Dave are flying in, which is one of the funniest moments of the show because everyone goes, Dave. In disappointment. And the slander's hitting me from all sides here.
Because Dave's a loser.
But props to the show for everyone showing their disapproval of Dave, which I don't even remember what it was for. I think he was really boring, maybe. I don't know. That'll come up later because there's some weird things that go on in the episode. Alice and the coach. Alice is meeting with the coach. She realizes how much her support group matters. As she's talking to the coach, she declines the offer to play in Connecticut. Then we move to like the wedding day. There's wedding prep going on. The guys are meeting with their lawyer guy, and he informs them that, yes, you need to figure out the parameters with birth mom. I reminded you to do this 2 weeks ago, and you didn't do it. And, of course, Brian's all over him like, oh, what, you can't reach out again?
Yeah.
Remind me again, please.
Follow-up text.
The fellas are going tie and pocket square shopping. This little moment buried in all the witty banter. Jimmy sees Paul struggling with the ties and kind of swoops in, says, forget Parkinson's, asterisk. Jimmy already showing himself capable of what he's promised Paul. Like, when you see me sinking, pull me up. And I just thought that was a little symbolism there. That was nice to see that. Oh, yes, Jimmy is all over this. And the convo there turns into Jimmy never getting married again. The little interesting conversation that happens here where Dr. Paul says, never's a long time, kid.
Yeah. So Jimmy and Lewis are in very similar spots.
Isn't that interesting? Yes. And Jimmy says, I already found my soulmate, which, Cody, nothing has been killing contentment more than the idea of a soulmate for the last 100 years. Thoughts on that?
I mean, it is a very romantic idea.
It is. I would agree.
And I definitely don't have any issue with saying this person is the love of your life. But throughout the millennias that individuals have remarried or found a new person to spend their lives with, that's not something new. And it's something that continues to this day. And now if you are someone that feels like, I don't need a spouse, then that's a whole nother discussion. But
yeah,
the ideal, perfect, that was my soulmate, this was the person that saved my life and I can't replace. Well, no, you're not going to be able to replace everything that person did because each person's unique. Mm-hmm. But you can still spend the rest of your life with someone that means something important to you.
Yeah. And it's weird in the real world where I've seen this hurt the most is when people lose their significant other. Maybe at a younger age than you would have thought would happen. And you see that from time to time of people being like, well, I'll never love again. That was my other. That was my person. And I would just say, hey, humans weren't meant to be alone. So maybe you're right about the soulmate thing. I will give you that, but you're not right about being alone.
Yeah.
So find your people. That's all we're saying. Sean confronts Alice about chickening out and gives her all the same speeches. It's funny. We got people who are having a hard time moving on, giving speeches to other people about how they should move on. And it continues with Sean and Alice because Sean has already been talked to about this with Dr. Paul.
Yes.
Paul finds out Julie actually cares about the wedding. There's a weird moment where he's mad about all the wedding planning and
he is such a cranky Gus.
And she leaves suddenly like he realizes he's been left, which is hilarious. She's not here. She left me. And he realizes, oh, I've offended her because she actually does care about this. But it gets worked out. He goes home. He talks about it. She's like, I didn't care at first. But then I had my 15-minute bachelorette party and I looked super awesome in the dress. And she got excited.
She did.
Somewhere in all of this, Gabby talks about more about the wedding planning and how she loves doing the electric slide with white people. I just want to go on record as saying, yes, we love the electric. I love the electric slide, Cody.
Oh, I'm glad someone does.
Yeah, because I can't even dance, but I will do the electric slide. And I think there's just something in the white person handbook that says you just got to love it.
I can do the Charlie Brown.
I don't even know what that is, but I'd be willing to try it. Casseroles and electric slide. You know what I'm talking about. Sean tells Jimmy that Alice turned down the coach after he said that he wouldn't.
Which you need people in your life that kind of force your hand a little bit.
Yeah. You're both afraid to move forward, but you know you should, says Sean to Jimmy and Alice. All of us need to do that. So Sean's maybe figuring it out here. The guy's chicking out on the convo with the birth mom, meanwhile. So this is clearly going to be an ongoing plot line for this season, I think.
Yeah.
Because this is going to come to a head at some point. Paul and Dr. Julie decide, of course, that they want a wedding. We already said that, but also something comes up in that conversation that we need to hear Harrison Ford's version of Talk singing Total Eclipse of the Heart. Feel like we got jobbed on that.
We did.
You're going to talk about it and you're not going to give it to us? Like, come on, showrunners.
I feel that needs to be in like a bonus pod.
Yeah. The wedding finally happens. Why is there a weird thing going on with Jimmy and Meg, Cody? Am I imagining that? She's married.
She is.
Do you think they're going there?
I think she will be tempted to go there. She might be her father's daughter.
Oh, interesting.
But at the same time, that also might be the thing that keeps her from going there. Or it was just, I'm here alone and you're the only person that I can dance with or joke around with.
It's true. Let's hope for that. I don't think I want that to happen.
I don't, but it's not the first time things like this has happened. So,
yeah. Alice plays the dead mom card and gets back on the team in Connecticut.
Which dead mom card had been her get out of whatever tool and
get out of jail free card.
Yes. Finally, it's something that is probably for her good that will push her to grow. So
the wedding happens. It's all sweetness, man. Bonus points for the violins that Gabby is hired playing Sugar Rays every morning.
Which I was like, who knows that on violin?
I don't know, but it was perfect. And it's meant to show that, Gabby has gone above and beyond where they wanted this to go. But in the post moments of the wedding, which is great, we see that everyone's moving on. It's happiness, right? Other Derek says, I love you, normal. Sean acknowledges the field, quote unquote.
Yes.
And Paul has another sweet moment with Jimmy where he says, do me a favor, will you? Don't be like me. Don't wait as long as I did. Which again is revisiting this conversation of, hey, you need to get back out there. You can't spend the rest of your life alone.
Yes.
And we have these happy moments, and then it happens, Cody. Paul sees Gerry, which on the surface, not a problem. But what is Gerry doing there? Paul asks him that. Then Dr. Julie walks in and says, I was just talking to Gerry. And it's like, what are you talking about? Gerry was a hallucination. It's quickly realized by Dr. Paul, and he gives us the woof of all woofs. And I'm in tears at this point because I'm just not ready. I'm not ready for Dr. Paul to go downhill this fast.
So at the very beginning of that scene, when he goes inside and he's getting his cup, and then there's Gerry, and I'm like, oh no, it's a hallucination. And my wife Leah is like, you think? And like they have their banner about, oh, I just like cake.
Yeah.
And then his wife comes in, and it becomes fully realized that, that's a hallucination. No one there knows that he knows Gerry. Now, the wife might know Gerry because she works at that facility, that hospital, but she doesn't know that Harrison Ford knows Gerry. So
it is important to note that Gerry is a real person.
Yes.
Because the doctor acknowledges Gerry at the very beginning. So I'll get you in a minute, Gerry. And that's when Gerry, of course, says, I was here first, in that funny moment with Michael J. Fox, MJF, as it were. But that's how the episode ends, with the hallucination of Gerry, and we understand what the episode has kind of been hinting at the whole time, which is Dr. Paul's fallen off quick.
It's interesting that this is happening in a mental health show because there are some serious physical health ailments that present with mental health symptoms. And at times it's difficult to distinguish what is a mental health issue or what is a physical health issue. Now with Parkinson's, it's pretty clear that your physical health is going to cause these mental health side effects.
Yeah.
But there's other conditions that it's not that clear. So
Yeah.
I love the dynamics that the show plays with and brings out that the typical layperson doesn't always think about when it comes to mental health and or physical health.
Yeah. I think it's all more real too, but Parkinson's is something that I think most people have some exposure to. Like you either have a family member, a loved one, a friend or a friend's loved one.
Or Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Because honestly, growing up, him having to quit Spin City was like, oh, this Parkinson's thing is awful moment for me, like as a kid. And then I started going to church, and there was someone at my church that had Parkinson's. And so learning a little bit more about that through that. And then as I've gotten older, there's been a few more individuals within my life that has experienced Parkinson's. And so it's interesting because this show has used Michael J. Fox before this. Season 2, Paul gives this speech about having Parkinson's and not being able to take his full dose because the medication isn't as effective, and he knows he's going to need it later on. Evidently, Bill Lawrence based that on what Michael J. Fox said to the cast of Spin City.
Yeah. It's based on a real thing that Michael J. Fox had to tell his coworkers, essentially.
Yes.
People he cared about. The song of the episode, if you've listened to watch-alongs before, you know that we really like to highlight a song because a lot of the story can be told through a song as well. And at the very beginning, I mentioned that as we see Harrison Ford's character struggling with the toothpaste, we're hearing the song called Holding Back the Years by Simply Red. When Simply Red released this song back in the 80s, it's important to note it wasn't about nostalgia or getting older in some sentimental way. It was written by Mick Hucknall about something that I'll call emotional survival, because at its core, this song is about growing up too fast. It's about learning to suppress pain in order to keep functioning, keeping things inside, and convincing yourself just to hold things together long enough that it'll eventually make things better. Holding back the years. It isn't about remembering the past. It's not about something like that. It's about not letting yourself feel things, going numb, because of the feeling it might break you. And so the singer isn't singing about being healed. He's coping. He's just making it through. And it fits this episode of Shrinking perfectly because as we see Dr. Paul quietly struggling with Parkinson's, Paul isn't dramatic about his condition. He's not collapsing. He's not asking for help. He's doing what that song is talking about. He's compartmentalizing. He's minimizing. He's holding himself together just enough to keep going. And the illness and that attitude isn't new to the show, but what is new is the weight of it finally catching up. He understands that he's running out of time to keep doing what the song is doing. He's literally holding back the years until he can't anymore. And I just thought that song was perfect choice.
Honorable mention, because I have a song.
There was another song that I considered.
Frightening Fishes.
Oh, okay. That wasn't the song I was thinking of.
Which is the theme song at the very beginning of every episode.
Oh, okay.
Help me carry this weight that's dragging me down. Pull me out of the drink before I start to drown. Let the wreckage all sink to where the fishes are frightening. I want to hear myself think again. And Paul, in this episode, is acknowledging that he has a weight that is dragging him down and that he is sinking. Yeah. And that Jimmy actually gets to be there for someone that was there trying to help bring Jimmy back up when he was dealing with all the weight that was dragging him down.
Yeah, honorable mention, part 2. The song at the wedding that's playing when everybody's moving on and it's all happy, which after we talked about the very serious nature of having to choose to be someone's caretaker in the very near future.
Oh, yeah.
Beast of Burden was playing by Rolling Stones.
I noticed that as well.
So that was very close to, but that was such a downer. I didn't want to talk about it. The moment that grew them, because this is a show called Shrinking, but it's about them growing. I want to highlight one part of every episode that I thought was very growth worthy. And this one was, I think, the sweetest part of the episode. There's a point when Brian is discussing his failure to talk about what they needed to talk about with the birth mom with Liz. And he's trying to explain himself, but they keep telling him, you got to have this conversation. And he finally gets to it. He says he couldn't tell her because she's just so alone. And I thought that was just so sweet. It's so you have to be very present with someone to understand that about them. And I thought in this moment, and Brian is normally not a compassionate person. He's very self-centered. And I thought one of the most self-centered characters in the whole show, understanding and realizing that, which is very sweet. And I'm about to cry talking about it.
And in that very same moment, we have maybe the second least compassionate character in Liz say, you do need to have this conversation, but I would have done the same thing.
Yes. It was doubly great. You're right. Because she affirms it. She affirms the choice.
Yes.
All right. How many crows out of 10?
I'll go 8. It's a solid first episode back.
Yeah. I'm going to go 8.5. I had 8.5 in my mind. It's a very good episode. Not the best, but it's very good. The first episode of a season always has this tough job of it's having to deliver a lot of exposition. And so there's a lot of exposition in this episode, and a lot of the scenes are meant to be exposition to kind of give you an idea where the characters are at. But I thought they did a good job of it. I'm excited for next week.
Me too.
I hope you guys are excited too. Make sure and subscribe so you don't miss one episode of Watch Alongs and watching along season 3 of Shrinking with us. We'll see you next time.